All right, House of Payne fans, this is going to be my review for episode 22 entitled Give and Take, which aired last night. So, Merry Christmas Eve. And let me say that this episode, I think I've taken the most amount of notes on. I feel like this was episode 22. The previous 21 episodes, I have not taken as much notes as I did just now. So, in case you're wondering, if you follow me on Twitter, you saw that my Xfinity was not working last night, which sucked. So, I missed all 3 shows. I just finished watching. I got a lot of thoughts about this episode. Just to give you a heads up, because I think I'm posting my reviews at the same time. My sister's review is about 50 minutes long. I had a lot of thoughts about that episode. House of Payne, I feel like this review might be longer than the episode itself. I don't know yet. I just want to say this is going to be a bit on the lengthy side. So if you feel like I run off at the mouth and talk too much, then shut up. Just click off the video because I got a lot to say. Did I prefer this episode more than last week? Hell yes. Last week I gave it a 1 out of 10. I believe that was episode 21, The Big Game. This episode was better, but it did have some things I wish were different. So I'm going to hold off on my score until I get to the end of the video. But once again, I did think this episode was better than last week. Another great Curtis episode. I do feel it did kind of lean a bit too much on the Curtis just running off at the mouth with the same old, jokes about one thing. But for the most part, I think Curtis played his role well in this episode. So here we go. Give and Take, episode 22. After their fight, Lisa teaches Malik a lesson about the importance of compromising in a relationship. Miranda visits Ella in hopes of running into Calvin. So before going further, please take a moment to hit the like button, hit subscribe, click the bell notification icon and select all. That way you are notified whenever I post things to the channel, and follow me on social media. Links are in the description below. We start off the episode with Miranda and Ella pretty much, gathering clothes together for the, the clothing drive for the homeless. And Ella pretty much calls out Miranda for, yeah, we're over here doing this is for a great cause, but are you over here because you want to help out the homeless, or are you over here simply because you want to, run into Calvin if he stops by? And, I wouldn't be mad if he did. And this begins the thing about, I'm not going to sit up here and roast Miranda for too long, but why was she even there? Like, I love how a lot of people responded with laugh emojis to that little compilation video I did last week where, it's Miranda like, don't you want to know where I'm going? No, I'm going on a lunch date. Who the hell cares? It's just like, okay, I'll get to Miranda in a second. Let's just keep going. So Lisa comes over because Ella is like, oh yeah, there's a box of clothes outside the door, and it turns out Lisa's right outside the door. She claims Malik has thrown her out. She's been standing at the front door for hours, and I'm wondering, like, did she even knock? Let me say this much. I'm going to assume the front door was not open, given the fact that, I'm going to assume that the front door was not locked, given that Ella just seemed to grab the handle and turn. So I will give Lisa props for not just barging into the house like all these other characters do. But again, maybe she was knocking, but nobody answered. But then I just remember that Ella and Curtis's house doesn't have an upstairs. And Ella and Curtis's room is right near it's like their room, the closet, and then the front door. So if Lisa was knocking, they probably would have heard it. So I guess she just stood out there without knocking and was just waiting for somebody to open the door. So whatever. But she says, hey, you know what? I'm going to end up staying here because Malik threw me out. And I have no other place to go. But Ella's like, oh no, I know this great shelter at the church and all, they have cots, and she's like, I ain't staying with no cots. It's like, So Ella calls CJ to get to the bottom of this, and Miranda takes Lisa into the kitchen to get some food. after eating the food, she's feeling a bit better, and she pretty much breaks down. Yeah, we had an argument about the TV because, I changed the channel, and then he kicked me out. And then Ella's like, could you stop popping when you talk? And I was like, okay, that was actually pretty funny. And Miranda's like, wait, so you didn't ask to change the channel during the playoffs? He's like, I don't know. Yeah, that was part of the deal, that I could watch TV or what show, whatever I wanted when I wanted to. That was part of the deal. And her side of the story is apparently the only one that matters, because Ella's like, okay, well, that doesn't sound right. Let me just say, I like the fact that they gave Malik the benefit of the doubt, like that Malik didn't just put her out, but then that kind of contradicts what happens later in the episode. But again, I'll get to that soon enough. But essentially, yeah, I like the fact that they didn't just automatically assume that, yeah, Malik threw her out. Like, Malik, you did that? No, that's wrong. It's like, no, I was like, no, that doesn't sound right. Let's wait for them to come over and get the side of the story. Well, my side is the only side of the story that matters. Like, no, I mean, when it comes to, relationships and whatnot, you need to respect space, because CJ and Malik, you need to be thankful that they were able to put a roof over your head. Now, more thankful to CJ and Janine rather than Malik, because Malik was the one who just automatically, I'm assuming, said that, hey, we can stay with my parents. That's why Lisa said, oh, yeah, you're right. Your parents, yeah, we can move up in here. And it's like, wait, what? So more so CJ, because if you go back to my review from last week, I said that was one of the things that, got me thinking, like, that's why I didn't like the episode, because of Lisa's extreme disrespect. Like, there's a massive difference if it was just Malik watching the game, but it was Malik and CJ, the man of the house. So it's like, you're showing massive disrespect to him. Like, yeah, I get, yeah, her and Malik just having that whole lover's quarrel over the TV is one thing, but the fact that she showed blatant disrespect to the man of the house, who once again, I'm assuming are letting Malik and Lisa stay there rent free, was just completely uncalled for and unacceptable. So let's continue. So she thanks Ella for being sweet and Miranda for trying, and I will give Lisa points because she called out Miranda for it's like, wait, aren't you the one who's getting divorced? Because essentially Miranda was just completely out of line. I feel like Miranda was as unnecessarily involved, or I guess you could say Miranda. It's debatable who was worse, Miranda in this episode or Lisa in last week's episode, because at least Lisa has some redeeming moments towards the very end of the episode, but Miranda, it's like, this reminded me of, let's say, if your parent is scolding you about something. Like, I've had this pattern before as a kid or whatever. It's like when you're in a store or something like that, and your parent calls you out for something, and then some random stranger comes by like, yeah, you better listen to her, or like, yeah, that's right. And it's like, you have nothing to do with this. Not to mention, so what are you even involved for? And it wasn't like Ella was telling Lisa off. She was just telling her, right, like, hey, it's about compromise, and when it comes to relationships, it's not just your side of the story. You need to look at both sides of it. Show respect. It's like, yep, that's right. And then Miranda, what the hell? No, you're the last person to. And once again, we will get to Miranda later on, but it's like, you're the last person who needs to try to give somebody advice about something. So from there, let's see. Okay, yeah, next page here. Yeah, I took a lot of notes. So Curtis comes in while they're talking because he wants something to drink, and essentially he's just being his old Curtis self. Is like, yeah, the lemonade's there, but you ain't pour for me, baby. And it's like, oh, okay, I see what's going on here. Let me guess, you're talking about Malik, and you're thinking about Calvin. Yeah, okay, I know what's going on. So he goes back outside, and just Curtis being Curtis. And then we go over to Malik and CJ, who come in through the backyard. They're talking with Curtis, who's trying to fix that old lawnmower. And, Curtis, once again, see, that's why your generation, all fat and, big, because y'all don't walk around with the lawnmower. And it's like, it was a funny gag, but I do feel it dragged on a little bit too long. But then they changed gears when it came to coming over to talk. Because, yeah, I was just trying to save you from going in there because everybody got that all men are evil look on their faces, which, again, I feel like is a massive contradiction to what happened when they were talking a few minutes ago. But once again, I'll talk about that when they go inside. But essentially, Curtis is like, you're a miracle. What do you mean? Like, you took the remote from a pregnant woman and you're still standing to tell the story. That was actually pretty funny. So Malik is like, hey, Dad, go inside, see what's going on. I was like, no, boy, like, that's because honestly, it's like when I think it was either CJ or Curtis, like, you're the one that started it. Wait, how did I start it? by taking the remote. And I thought CJ was going to say, when you got that girl pregnant and brought her into the house. That's what I thought was going to be said. But they go into the kitchen and yeah, just some, you know, just the same old back and forth banter about why they looking so mean. And it's like this and that. And it's like, ain't no we, tell them hi. Okay, hi. And so Ella tells, you know, Miranda, let's Malik sit down at the table. Miranda goes behind the counter. So Malik explains, I had an issue with her taking the remote and she packed her things and just left. And this is where Miranda could have taken several seats, if not go home. She snaps at him. She's a pregnant woman. She deserves some leeway. If you love someone, you just don't let them leave. See, that's the problem with the Payne men. And then they all calm her down because obviously she's just having a Calvin moment. And it's like, well, you need to stop telling people that I kicked you out, which is right. Malik is like, you shouldn't tell people I kicked you out. And Miranda's like, well, letting her leave is the same thing as putting her out. What the fuck? You know, I'm sorry. I don't mean to get angry, but I was just like, there were so many contradictions in this episode. And don't get me wrong, I did enjoy this episode more than last week, but Miranda was the worst. Okay, here we go. So Ella talks about how, yes, Lisa is pregnant and you need to be more considerate in everything. And, you need to apologize. And then, you know, Lisa's like, yeah, 'cause I'm pregnant. It's like, you know, it's like, well, you don't know what it's like to be pregnant or carry around a baby for 9 months. And then everybody's like, well, neither do you. I did like that moment. But once again, Miranda, shut up. And then from there, it's like, well, you need to learn how to compromise. And I'm like, Malik, go back to the beginning of last week's episode, The Big Game, even though I wouldn't tell anybody to watch that episode again because I gave it a 1 out of 10. But if you go back to the beginning of the episode, just like the first couple minutes, as soon as Lisa took the remote, changed the channel, and squeezed her way on the couch, Malik tried to tell her, it's like, babe, we need to compromise here. You just can't come in and change the channel. And now Malik is being meant to be the bad guy. And here's another thing. Ella makes Malik apologize. But nowhere in that conversation was Lisa made to apologize. That was my biggest issue here. So Ella does give some words of wisdom like, hey, now you two get up, go home and talk about this. Look, it's going to be rough, but y'all need to work together, be good parents. And I like Malik's respect, like, yes, man, we will. So they leave to go over to, you know, CJ and Janine's house. But I feel like my massive issue here was that even though Ella, I feel, was rocking it in the first half of the episode where she was rightfully calling out Lisa, you know, screw Miranda. I'm just talking about what Ella was saying. Ella was definitely not only being considerate and listening to Lisa. Yeah, she rightfully kind of told her, like, could you stop popping your mouth and everything? Just please, like, just talk to me instead of, you know, being, well, for lack of a better phrase, just being extra ghetto. It's like, I feel like Ella is, again, a walking contradiction. It's almost like the whole Calvin thing is like your own son. It's almost like you're taking Miranda's side over Calvin's side, and you're constantly encouraging Miranda to, you know, get with Calvin, as opposed to saying, look, I know you are the mother of one of my grandchildren, and I'll always love you because, you know, you were my daughter-in-law, but I know the divorce is coming, but you're still the mother of my grandchild. But you need to stop trying to stalk my son. But instead just saying, if you love Calvin, you need to sit down like adults talk. No. So in the Lisa situation, where I thought that Ella was really going to be a fair moderator, it's like, you only let Malik say and I'm not saying, look, even if Miranda wasn't there running her damn mouth when she didn't need to, I don't feel like Malik got a fair chance. Now, I could, so, Jeremy, you're a man, and no, this has nothing with me being a man, and then, you know, maybe one day, find the right woman, get married, and then I'll have to deal with a pregnant woman. But I don't know if this is how it really goes, but I just feel like Lisa got nowhere near the same amount of reprimands as Malik, because that just made no sense. Like, Lisa wasn't made to apologize because it's like, yeah, Ella's like, you know, yeah, they put a roof over your head. You need to apologize. Not to mention poor CJ in the corner. You think they would make it because even I like CJ. Again, I know CJ, this isn't his situation, but at the same time, they living under his roof. It's like, You didn't even say anything. You instantly went to Ella's side when Malik is like, Dad, you were there when it happened. You know I didn't kick her out. Well, no, I tried to tell you about the remote. It's like, I believe it or not, I felt bad for Malik. Malik, who I've been bad talking this entire season for his unnecessary sass and everything. I felt bad for Malik because he was trying to do the right thing. But another thing, Lisa, again, never made to apologize to Malik, and even more importantly, wasn't made to apologize to CJ, because not only was she being disrespectful to Malik for snatching the remote and changing the channel, but also being disrespectful to CJ. Because once again, that's his house, him and Janine's house, that they're graciously letting their son and pregnant girlfriend stay in. So I feel like there were a few missed things that happened in this episode. Because yes, the last scene with Lisa was really sweet and touching, but I don't feel like Lisa was made to apologize the way that they just forced Malik to. So in any case, they go back to the house, and then they, Ella calls out CJ. See, you need to teach that boy. And it's like, well, Miss Ella, Auntie Ella, I tried to tell him, he hard-headed, he think he know everything. I was like, well, you need to teach him better. And I'm like, yeah, Curtis came in because right after Ella's like, see, yep, yeah, you were the same way when, when Janine was pregnant, like, wait, I was? And then see, like, yep. I mean, Curtis just comes in, yep. And then Miranda kind of, jokes about him cutting the flower bed down, and that was pretty funny. But I just feel like this is why last week's episode sucked, because I feel like at the very core, maybe last week's episode, the first half could have been CJ and Malik dealing with the whole changing the channel thing. And then the middle of the episode could have been like Lisa storming out when Malik rightfully called her out. And then the ending of last week's episode could have been CJ and Malik about to come over to the house. Like the back half of last week's episode could have been this talk between Ella, Lisa, Miranda. And then this week's episode could have been a extended scene of CJ, Malik in the kitchen with the women, and then they talk about everything, because I just don't feel like Lisa was made to apologize, and I feel like that was the biggest misstep of the episode, aside from Miranda being there for no reason and to nag when she had nothing to do with this, when she's the last person to try to call somebody out for treating a woman right. So then we get to the final scene where they get back home, and Lisa again makes Malik apologize. It's like, well, I was apologizing all the way over here. Well, it doesn't sound sincere. And I'm like, she never once apologized. So he apologizes again, says, I love you. Yeah, that's more like it. And then they give each other a hug. And it's like, well, see, I thought we, you liked all this. And it's like, I do, but okay. So they sit down because let's watch my show together. Well, I thought you already watched. No, we're going to watch it together because I want you to get to know me, because we don't know each other that well. I'm like, wait, y'all don't know each other that well, yet you're about to have a child? What? And then from there, it's like, wait, what's this? I recorded the game for you. That way, when we're done with my show, we can watch it together so I can get to know you. See, I'm considering and whatnot, and I'm like, this would have been a lot easier if she would have said that last episode. Like, I feel like the argument could have been, well, babe, I thought you wanted to watch the game with me. That way there could have been a little bit of slight jealousy there, because Malik and CJ were having a father-son moment instead of Malik paying attention to her. Instead, she came off as incredibly disrespectful and selfish. So even though this scene at the very end was sweet, I don't think it did any justice to making me like Lisa more, because she talked about how you need to understand me. You don't understand me. But it's like, you're not allowing anyone to understand you. You just come in, act like you own the place. It's like somebody gives you an inch and you take a mile, and then you get mad. It's almost like Danny on Sisters, where she expects Preston to know what's disrespectful and whatnot, and tells him and kind of puts him in line. But whenever he tries to be honest and respectful to let her know how he feels about something, she doesn't want to hear it. So Danny and Lisa probably are related. I know look, I'm just making a jokeful tease about how, yeah, Sisters and House of Payne are connected, because I feel like Lisa and Danny are probably cousins or something. Or maybe that's, Danny's niece. I'm just making it up, guys. Don't worry. It's just a joke. But it was sweet, because it's like, hey, can I call my dad so we can come over and watch too? Yeah, okay. So again, it's like, yeah, we're going to be great parents. So the ending was good, but I feel like Lisa didn't learn anything. I just feel like Malik was painted to be the villain, even though he was the one who was trying to be respectful. Miranda served no purpose. And until the ending of the episode, I'm just sitting here the whole time thinking, I think what happened is that Lisa found out that she's pregnant and decided to pin it on Malik, because remember, it was stated that she has met CJ and Janine before, so it's likely that she's seen the house like, you know what, I'm pregnant. This nice guy, parents seem to have a, you know, decent home and whatnot. I think I can get used to this. She might be using Malik. I know some people on Twitter are like, yeah, she ain't pregnant when she's showing. I think she just saw Malik, felt like he was a sucker, and that's why she hooked up with him. That's what I think. I think that's exactly what happened. But the ending scene, I feel like it would have been more redeeming if Lisa had to apologize. That's what I feel like, if nothing else, that was the main ingredient missing from this episode, along with Ella just putting her foot down instead of giving Malik a fair chance. Because at the beginning of the episode, I'm like, yeah, this is great. They're not thinking that Malik was, you know, automatically, you know, an asshole for kicking, you know, because kicking you out, nah, that doesn't sound like Malik. But yet when he comes over there, you literally jump on down his throat. So I just feel like this was incredibly unfair. So, and then CJ just, you know, I get it. There's no we, but once again, he could have at least vouched for his son, because I was there and here's what happened. But no, he is shit. So I feel like even though this episode isn't a 1 out of 10, I will give it some credit, because like I said, I haven't taken as many notes on a House of Payne episode as this one so far. And there was a lot to talk about, given the fact that this review is about as long, if not longer, than the actual episode. The preview for next week looks promising, with the whole Lisa and Malik watching the kids, which once again just shows me that I think this season was aired incredibly out of order, just based on a lot of dialogue and events. So that's my 2 cents there. But let me know your thoughts in the comments section below. Do you think that I was too harsh on this episode? Do you agree with my analysis? Because give and take, I feel like there was a lot of talk about compromise and respect, but Malik wasn't given any kind of passage. It was all him. He had to take the blame. He had to apologize multiple times, instead of, you know, Lisa actually apologizing at all. She got a bit of an earful from Ella and Miranda, but when it came to Malik, he was the one that got the beat down. So I just don't know what to say. But I did like it at the end where they hugged each other, because that was actually pretty sweet. And then they cuddled on the couch. I wish we had more scenes like this, as opposed to last week's episode where it was just, you know, Lisa being intolerable and Malik being rightfully pissed off. But yeah, so let me know your thoughts. Like I said, I felt Curtis was a good addition to the episode. He wasn't too over the top. I think, you know what, it was the laugh track. That's what it was. I think for the first time in a while, my what's it called, white noise, like noise that you get accustomed to so you don't even notice it, like when you got a fan on at night or if your clock is ticking. But yeah, the laugh track, it just got, because I just wanted to get to the kitchen scene, but we had CJ and Malik standing outside talking about the lawnmower. But yeah, let me know your thoughts in the comments section below on this one. And yeah, like I said, it was lengthy. Now, assisted living, I don't know if my review is going to be as lengthy, but we'll have to wait and see. But please subscribe and like the video. I might do follow-up content on this episode later, but like I said, since it is Christmas Eve and I'm going home tomorrow, I'm just going to blitz through my reviews, and then I'll do follow-up content and whatnot, you know, next week when I get back, unless I try to pre-record it today. So as always, guys, thanks so much for the support on the channel. If you would like to donate, feel free to do so on PayPal, Cash App, or Patreon. You can join in for as little as $1 a month. And with that being said, I'll talk to you soon. Real quick, this is a random edit at the end. I didn't think about this during my original recording of the video, but when I talked about the right amount of Curtis, I forgot to mention that I guess they decided to write out the part about Curtis constantly hitting on Lisa, because when he came into the kitchen to Ella about getting him something to drink, he, you know, glanced over, oh, you're talking about Malik, and I know you probably think about Calvin. So it's kind of funny, because you know good and well, if Lisa would have mentioned that, or if Curtis had overheard Lisa wanted to move in, he probably would have been like, yeah, and then that probably would have reinforced Ella's decision to say no even more. So yeah, just a random insert, had to put it in here. Thanks for watching.